Hi, I'm Mark from Folkway Music. I hope you're all doing well today. I am here to tell you a little bit about, or maybe a lot about, this guitar right here, which is a 1932 Gibson L-00. What's unique about this guitar is that it has a 13 fret neck joint, meaning the neck meets the body at the 13th fret, not the 12th, not the 14th. Gibson made, as far as we know, only one batch of 13 fret L-00s at the end of 32. They all have the factory order number 269, and Gibson did make a bunch of Nick Lucas models and L2s and 12 and 13 fret, but as far as I've ever seen, only one batch of these L00s. It's an interesting guitar in that it's a 13 fret and it has its own tone and a bunch of other features that are unique to it. From a repair person point of view, it poses extra challenges. The reason for that is that, sure, they put a 13 fret neck on this guitar, but they didn't change anything under the hood, so the top bracing layout and sound hole location are identical to that of a 12 fret guitar. Makes sense. They only made one batch of these. They might have just grabbed 12 fret guitar bodies and put 13 fret necks on them. They located the bridge plate properly for a 13 fret guitar, more or less, but they didn't think about the other things that might happen. So let me show you something. On a 14 fret guitar like this L00, if I put them next to each other, you can see that the sound hole on this guitar is further north and the bridge is also further north, right? On this guitar, the sound hole is further south and the bridge is further south. They're both 19 fret guitars. And so Gibson always located the bracing the same distance from the bottom of the sound hole, about an inch down from the sound hole. And the X-brace angles are the same. So on this 12 fret guitar, what that means is that the X-brace kind of comes like this, and it puts a finger brace right over here, behind the bridge. The way a finger brace works is, let me grab a 12 fret one. Here's a 12 fret in pieces kind of guitar. But the way the finger brace works is its job is to support the front part of the bridge. And it would come out, the X-brace would go this way, supporting the back of the bridge, and the finger brace supports the front of the bridge. And it would be right over here on a 12 fret guitar. Well, if you change nothing else about a guitar except where the bridge is, the bridge's location to the X-brace and the finger brace is going to be different. And that was the challenge with this guitar. The finger braces on this guitar, instead of being here, where I want them to be, are over here, because it was a 12 fret brace guitar. Couple that with a guitar that has very, very short grain, meaning when the spruce top is this way, the grain, you want it to be parallel with the top parallel with the wood. A short grain top will have the grain going this way on one side and this way on the other side, and that makes a top much weaker, makes a lot more deflection likely to happen because the spruce itself doesn't have as much structural integrity as if it was a long grain top. Also, because this guitar had been previously repaired by someone who didn't care enough about the quality of their work, there was damage from the bridge removal process, and there was a big crack. They had put their palette knife right through the top, and it came out right over here underneath the pickguard. The top was wavy. It had all kinds of problems. So it had this oversized bridge on it as well. There's the bridge that came off of it. You can see the size difference between, well, I should put them closer together. This bridge is an eighth of an inch bigger than this bridge. It was also in the wrong place for intonation. Anyway, so the repairs became very difficult on this guitar. And what I opted to do was I took the bridge off and the bridge plate off of this guitar, and I actually removed those finger braces because there was so much deflection, and I removed the pickguard as well. And I basically reshaped this top to the best I could to Gibson's sort of quasi 15 foot radius dome that they used. And instead of putting the finger braces back there, I made new finger braces to put where they needed to go. I couldn't put the original finger braces back. Here's an original one. Hang on a second. So there's the original finger brace. I couldn't put this original finger brace back, so I just made a new finger brace that looks just like the old one. It's made out of torrefied wood. This was just a trial run that I did. This one was not obviously the one that went in the guitar because it's not in the guitar now. But the new finger braces had to be a little bit longer because of where they were positioned on the top to fit. But basically I made 2 new finger braces that look like the old finger braces, and I stuck them in where I wanted them to go to support the top this way. And then the new bridge plate where I wanted it to go, because like I said, the original bridge plate was askew a little bit. It was a little too far back, which again caused some hinge problems at the front of the bridge. And then did an extensive finish touch-up, about 3/16 of an inch of new finish in front of the bridge, which I don't know if you can see very well in this light. I think you can probably, you can see the reflection of it, maybe. But there's a 3/16 of an inch of new finish in front of the bridge. No overspray, just a very tedious and time-consuming drop fill of finish, and then leveling, and then aging, and then letting it sink, because lacquer sinks, and then doing more of it over a long period of time, like a very long period of time, to get it to be stable and not sink any longer, and then some aging to make it look like it wasn't there. And you can see it if you look closely, but you got to look for it, which is what I'm happy about. Not trying to make that look like it never happened, because that would require that I oversprayed the whole top, and I'm not into that. Anyways, and then this new bridge, which is the picture that I put on Instagram yesterday. So you can see that's the new bridge, which is dimensionally much more accurate than the old bridge that came off of it. A few other interesting things about this guitar. It has a round neck instead of a V neck, which is normal for 12 fret guitars. Gibson started using V's on their necks in 33 when they did 14 fret guitars. So I don't know if you can see in the light a V versus round. I don't know if it's catching it, but the first Gibson V's were pretty comfy and rounded. They got much pointier, sharper, and bulky later in the 30s, but those early necks from 33 and 34 are kind of like Martins. They're a pretty comfortable V for people that like round necks. So this is a round neck, but it also, what's interesting is if you look, I don't know if I can show you this. Yeah, you can probably see it this way. If you look closely at the edge of the fingerboard, you might see that the fingerboard is the thickness, and then there's like another sort of shim the whole length of the neck under the fingerboard, above the mahogany, right? And that makes this neck really nice and thick. Gibson had pretty skinny fingerboards in 1931 and 32 quite frequently. Again, not all the time, but here's that slightly older guitar. You can see how thin the fingerboard is there. And the neck thickness is pretty contemporary. It doesn't feel that different than a modern C-shaped or oval 1 3/4 inch nut, kind of like a new Martin guitar, to be honest with you. Whereas this 13 fret has a much thicker neck because it has this mahogany shim that's 1/8 of an inch thick underneath the fingerboard. So it has the same thin 1/8 of an inch fingerboard, but with the shim underneath it. That caused all kinds of problems to getting the neck off of this guitar. Because that mahogany shim runs the length of the fingerboard, and so you can expect the fingerboard to be over the dovetail. This one wasn't a top over dovetail guitar, but with that fingerboard over the dovetail and then the rosewood fingerboard over that, when you're heating a fingerboard to get it off, your tools can go every which way with the grain, and mahogany over spruce is a tough joint to undo. So it was tricky to get off. That said, it had been off before. I don't know if you can see this, but right in there, you can see there's a bit of a funny reflection right there. This guitar had previously either a 12 fret neck on it or a 20 fret fingerboard. I'm not really sure. That's factory, that's under factory finish. So Gibson had a fingerboard or a neck on this guitar at the factory and then took it off and then refinished the guitar at the factory long before, like before it was finished. This was original finish on this guitar, and that I don't know what went on there. I don't have an answer for that question. It's another enigma of the 13 fret L-00, and I haven't seen enough 13 fret L-00s to know exactly what was going on. Suffice to say, the last person that worked on this guitar also did some nasty crack repair stuff that I had to undo over here. But it's solid now. No finish touch-up, but it's solid. And the guitar now has a top that's, not deflected. It has a nice radius to it. And best yet, it sounds like a great guitar. It's very powerful and loud and punchy. really one of the more bold sounding L-00s I've played, with really, really fat, thick, full trebles. I can't wait to hear it as it opens up. It's only been strung for a day and a half, so it has a ways to go. Anyways, so that's the 13 fret L-00, and the repair challenges that it presented, and interesting stuff. Just so you know, those dots are not original on the side of the neck. Whoever worked on this guitar last put those in, which is a really nice thing to do to an L-00 to make them useful again. Easier to play if they have side dots on them. One other thing you can notice is that how long the truss rod cover is on this guitar. That's something that we see on these 12 fret neck guitars. This one has a long truss rod cover too. See how long that is relative to what became the norm? It's a much shorter truss rod cover. Just one of those weird quirks of Gibson in the early 30s trying to figure out what their guitars were going to be about. They're all different, and that's what makes them so interesting to me, and hopefully that's what is also making them interesting to you. So, thanks for watching. If you have any questions about anything on this guitar, post them in the comments. If you're watching this on Instagram, if you're watching it on YouTube, post them in the comments. I'll do my best to reply to them. And thanks again for watching. I appreciate your interest in these things that I like so much too. All right, take care. All the best.